let's bring the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Dolly, roll call, please.
Supervisor Fleury.
Here.
Councilman Abbott.
Here.
Councilman Dean.
Here.
Councilman Cowley. Present. Councilman Cahill.
Here.
County Attorney Genesi.
All right, next up, and I love seeing people in the boardroom. I love it. We missed it when we were shut down for COVID. But the next item up is if anybody has something that they would like to go on the podium, up to 5 minutes to talk about with the board. Now is the time. We were talking about before the beginning of the meeting, we got a couple of public hearings that are being set tonight, and I just wanted to make sure that people understood that the public hearings that will be set tonight, that's when the public comes in and gives their opining on whether they're for or against the things in this public hearing. So with that being said, is anybody looking to get up on the podium tonight?
I will. Go first. No, I just question. I'm kind of new here. If it's on the agenda, do we speak now?
No, and that's the thing. If you're on the agenda, Blaze, then
Making
you.
sure I understand.
Well, we'll get you up there, my friend. This is for, and it runs the gamut.
To the floor.
It's open to the floor,
Okay.
and it's on things that really aren't
Understand.
on the agenda.
I understand.
So, with that being said,
So at the appropriate time, I understand, would it be now or before your discussion about the scheduling the?
well, Andy, if you're going to be talking about the proposed cell tower at 833 Lake,
Yes.
there will be no discussion when we go to vote on those
Okay.
resolutions.
Gotcha. So I should speak now if I want to speak.
Yes, that is true.
All right,
Yes.
fair enough.
And Andy, if you could give your name and address.
Yeah, 80 Opart, 820 Lake Road. So just with respect to the idea of moving ahead and scheduling an October public hearing for this matter, I think that may be just a teeny bit premature. I think there still are open questions that have not been addressed yet by Verizon. I don't think the town has had a chance to investigate some of these issues, and I don't know how long the town, after the open hearings will deliberate these issues, but I just want to throw these out just to make sure that they're out there, people are aware of these issues. One big issue, are local governments allowed to ignore or supersede New York state laws? I don't think so. I think the answer is no. Hypothetically, if the state law prohibited placement of a cell tower within 2,000 feet of a scenic byway, could the local government choose to approve a cell tower that was 500 feet away from the scenic byway? I think the answer is probably no. So we're talking about the scenic legislation, the scenic byway legislation New York State passed. I don't think that's been investigated a whole lot, but New York State has put that out there. They've stated that the scenic byways, of which Lake Road is a designated scenic byway, it's an important thing. And one of the primary reasons why it was designated as such is because of the scenic attributes of that road. Having a cell tower less than a quarter mile from the road, I think has a significant impact on that. And I think that going to that point, I think that Verizon, our friends at Blue Sky Towers and Verizon, have not adequately discussed the options that are out there. They talked about one property, or two properties on Whiting Road owned by the same owner. They said, well, we sent them a letter. Didn't hear back, so we just completely dropped that location as a possibility. Look at the owners of that location. They have what I would call maybe foreign-sounding names. I don't know what their comprehension of English is, but I don't think Verizon really did, with respect to that location, appropriate due diligence in exploring that as an option. Looking at the Pellet Road site, the Kiwanis Park site, they discussed that, yes, that looked like a really viable option. but then they kind of just perfunctorily said, no, we said it's too far away, so we dropped it. Now, the engineers are saying it's more than a mile south of the Lake Road site. But again, I went past there tonight, double check my numbers, and did an odometer reading, and I took my watch and timed it in 30 miles an hour. 60 seconds it took me, less than 60 seconds to go between the two locations. And by my reckoning, that's less than half a mile. So among other things, I think that is a very viable site. I think Verizon said, yeah, that's a viable site. And it's less than half a mile away, despite their papers stating otherwise. I think they just very summarily rejected that site. I think, and I understand it. I think Verizon and the attorneys for Verizon latched onto this site on Lake Road. They say, hey, this is what's easiest for us. This is what's best for us. Golly, we got somebody ready to take our rent money, and it's going to be easy access for us to build this thing. And I understand that. I mean, Verizon wants what's easiest for Verizon. I fully understand that. But the responsibility of the town board, I think, is to make sure that Verizon is taking into perspective, or that the town board is taking into perspective, the interests of everyone in the community, apart from the interest of Verizon in building a cell tower. So I don't think there's really been proper due diligence as far as alternate site selection by Verizon. And I think rushing ahead to an October hearing might be a little bit premature. That's just my thought. Another second point, the impact of, besides the scenic byway issue, putting in a tower on Lake Road. I looked at the valuation of the properties just on the north side of Lake Road, and we're looking at almost $10 million, just between pellets and not even over the Whiting. $10 million of value. If you look at the literature about the impact of cell towers, an industrial tower, whether it be a crane or an oil derrick or a big cell tower, I think there's really not a lot of disputing that there's an impairment to value of surrounding properties. The question might be, is it 15%, is it 5%, what's the exact number? I don't know for sure, but some of the literature I've seen out there suggests anywhere from 5 to 10% impairment to value. If you're taking 10% of $10 million, that's $1 million hit to local property owners. Maybe it's only $750,000, I don't know. But I don't think that aspect has really been addressed. And again, I think the need for Verizon to demonstrate that they've really adequately pursued alternate locations for this tower. And I think there are certainly going to be a lot of other decent prospective sites. Maybe not the exact site that Verizon wants, maybe not the site that's the absolute easiest and cheapest for them. But again, I think they need to demonstrate that they've exhausted other possibilities a little more than the very cursory manner in which they did in their paper. So I would ask, to that end, I would ask the town board to consider perhaps even 30 days delaying this open hearing, public hearing on this issue, asking Verizon to demonstrate exactly why is that Kiwanis site, you said it's over a mile away. No, it's not. It's less than half a mile away from your proposed Lake Road site. Why is that not viable? Have you reached out to those people on Whiting Road, just other than sending a letter and said, hey, you didn't respond? Are there other sites out there that could potentially be viable? I don't know. I think there could be. But I don't think Verizon has demonstrated that they've really pursued all the other options other than putting it right on Lake Road. If you're in New York City and you've got a waste management company wants to put a landfill, sure, let's put it right on Midtown Manhattan, Central Park, right? That's easiest for the waste hauler. Great spot, great accessible location. Well, I mean, folks in New York City don't do that because they realize that would be stupid to put a ugly eyesore right in the middle of a prime real estate area. So that's why the landfill is over on Staten Island, kind of way out of the way. Still workable for getting rid of trash in New York City, but you're not putting a landfill in the middle of the prime real estate in New York City. And I'm asking that we should think about other options other than putting this industrial tower right on a scenic byway on one of the prime pieces of real estate in the town of Webster. So to that end, again, I would ask consideration, maybe a little discussion amongst yourselves. Hey, can we put this off for 30 days to ask Verizon to demonstrate, are there really no other options other than these? Thank you.
And I just hit the end of the timer. And Andy, because I'm sensitive to this, and I've been working with you and some of the other people on this, 8 minutes and 12 seconds, everybody knows I'm a numbers guy. 5 minutes for that. I felt as though you needed to get that extra 3 minutes. But because we are on live stream and there's people in the room, for your older people, Paul Harvey rested the story. And I think we have to be measured on this, okay?
All right.
Because if people in the room or on TV watching this are like, wow, this is, Andy makes a lot of great points. Well, I want to make sure everybody understands, and I am a numbers guy. On July 15th, this town board did a procedural meeting to pass this cell tower on to the planning board for their vetting process. July 15th was 2 months ago, almost to the day, all right? Andy and several people from the neighborhood came in and voiced their, it turned into a pseudo-public hearing that night, and we allowed everybody to get up. Since then, I know Councilman Cahill has been absolutely tenacious on this from a vetting and standpoint of the town board over the last 2 months. Andy and some of the other people I have communicated with, that me as the town supervisor went out to all the houses within a half a mile of this proposed site. There were 40 houses. I went door to door and knocked on all of them, okay? I didn't knock on the doors that people already had come in here on July 15th because I knew that they were against the project. I needed to hear the totality of everybody that lived down there. The planning board, our engineering department, community development has been gathering all the due diligence documents on this proposed project through the scenic byway with the state, through the county, through all the government agencies that have to opine on this, of which the file is now about this thick. I can assure you the town board and the town government is doing their due diligence. Now, I also sent an email out to Andy and to all the people that came in here on July 15th, on Friday, September 3rd, that spelled out exactly the time frame that we are setting up for this, including tonight. We are going to do the votes on setting a public hearing. October 7th would be the public hearing, and October 21st would be when we would vote on whether we are having this cell tower. October 21st, when we go to vote on that, I think my math is correct, is 5 weeks from now. So from the first time it was heard on July 15th until October 21st, I think, Charlie, is going to end up being, is that 3+ months? Now, I'm relatively new to this, Counselor. Time-wise, are we basically doing our due diligence and stretching it out to make sure we get in all the information?
Okay, as far as, just to, as counsel to the board, I'll just advise you, under sections 95-12 of the Webster Town Code, it sets forth the standards that the town board is to consider in granting or not granting a special use permit to a cell tower. So it's right in there. All you have to do is look at that and say, all you have to do it. It's fairly extensive and very detailed. 12-12. It's incumbent, obviously, on the applicant to satisfy everything that's in there as well. So I think the burden is on them, and the town board can do what it needs to do. So the due diligence in terms of time, I think that's more than enough time because it's already gone through one process, the planning board process, which is fairly extensive. But it will go through another rather rigorous procedure again on the 7th.
And thanks, Charlie, because 2 of the resolutions tonight we're voting on, I just want to make sure, and I really appreciate, Andy, you getting up there, okay? But I think it's important for anybody in this room and anybody watching to know, I can speak for this town board. We do not mail it in. We are going to do the due diligence. We are going to overturn every stone. We are going to cross every T and dot every I. And I can assure you, when we get here on October 21st for the vote, the 5-member town board will be thoroughly briefed with all the documentation, all the visits to houses, all that you've done, John, all the things that are coming in from Verizon, all of that due diligence is gonna be done. And I come from a background where I had to do a lot of due diligence. I'm pretty proud of the way this process is going. So, thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Next up, the September 2nd board minutes as submitted by Dolly, our town clerk. I reviewed them, and I make a motion that we approve them.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye?
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Capelli? Aye. Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Okay, next up, I don't know. Bill, you were here? Okay. I think nobody else said they wanted to speak because Blaze found out that yours is on here, and then nobody else had said, I want to go second, so are you, but hey, measure twice, cut once. I apologize. Was there anybody else that wanted to get up for the public 5 minutes? Because Andy spoiled it for you, because now I will shut it down in 5 minutes. But I think everybody's set.
I have a question.
Well, come on up. We're gonna go, Dolly, we'll go back to the 5 minutes. If you could give your name and your address.
Lori Anderson, 810 Lake Road. Just to reiterate what Andy said, the only two sites, I was here at the previous meeting when people spoke, and the only two sites that were mentioned that were considered were the two sites that Andy mentioned. There were no other sites. When Verizon was here, as Andy mentioned, they quickly dismissed the other two sites, one being too close, and the other one, as Andy said, they just didn't answer. And I don't think, that doesn't really impress me as to actually looking for another site. That's like, there's 3 options. One, they didn't answer. The other one, sort of close. I haven't seen any paperwork. It just doesn't sound like due diligence. It sounds like this is easy. And there are a lot of things that are resting on this for some people in that specific area. It's not going to ever come down in our lifetime. So once you as a board makes this decision, and yes, you don't have to look at it, but the people that live across the street will, it's going to make a major impact for a very small group of people. And that being what is in the community good is acceptable if that is really the only option. And I just think this has come across as being too easy. I'm not impressed. I apologize that things have been clear.
You don't have to apologize at all. Is there anybody else? Name over 3 minutes.
Yeah, she speaks well, gladly.
All right, then we're gonna move on to Bill.
I reviewed the bills this week and recommend that we pay them as submitted by the Director of Finance.
Second.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilwoman Capelli? Aye. Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. And I went through prepaid warrants as submitted by the Director of Finance, and I make a motion that we approve those.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Capelli? Aye. Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
All right, next up, I make a motion to set Thursday, October 21st at 7:30 p.m. here in the town boardroom as the public hearing date for the 2022 town budget. And this is to be published in the Wednesday, October 6th edition of the Webster Herald.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilwoman Catoli. Aye. Councilman Cahill.
And I gotta stop and say that I've gotten, not a law degree in the last 2 years from my friend Charlie. He's taught me a lot of Latin and other. Charlie, he taught me that public hearings published in the paper, no less than 10 days, no more than 20 days, right?
Correct.
So October 6th edition of the paper for a public hearing on October 21st is 15 days.
This is between 10 and 20.
I'm learning. Okay, the next two are, they're both related to what we've already discussed a little bit tonight, the proposed, can't stress that word enough, proposed cell tower at 833 Lake Road at the corner of Paladin Lake. I am making a motion to set a public hearing for a special permit related to the proposed telecommunication tower at 833 Lake Road for 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, October 7th, here in the town board meeting room, to be published in the town newspaper, the Webster Herald, in the Wednesday, September 22nd edition.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Catoli. Aye.
Okay, and the next one, which, like I said, these two public hearings are both attached to the proposed cell tower. But because the town board really has to make two, I don't want to call them mutually exclusive decisions, Charlie, but one is because,
Assuming, well, I think the second one is, in the event that the permit is granted, they are seeking a tower 25 feet taller than our code requires, or,
Right.
sorry, permits. So that variance would have to be granted.
and that is a variance that doesn't go through the zoning board of appeals. It has to be
It's
heard
by
the town
our
board.
town code. This is one of the rare instances where the town board actually
Right.
hears. And the same types of standards would apply,
Right.
but the town board is the one making the decision.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it shows the, what do I want to say, the wisdom of who wrote laws and codes is that this is serious enough of a situation that the buck stops here at the town board. It doesn't, usually variances go through the zoning board of appeals. Nothing against the zoning board of appeals. The town board is higher on the org chart than the zoning board of appeals. With that, and I hope that wasn't TMI for everybody, but I'm making a motion to set a public hearing for a height variance for the proposed 125-foot tall communication tower at 833 Lake Road at or about 7:45 or immediately after the end of the public hearing on the special permit on Thursday, October 7th in the town board meeting room to be published in the Webster Herald's Wednesday, September 22nd edition. That's my motion.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Councilwoman Catoli. Aye. Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Now, before we move on, because, like I said, I appreciate the sensitivity of the issue. I'd like to think I've appreciated it since it first hit us on July 15th. Charlie, there has been precedent, I think, in town that sometimes after a public hearing that same night that the town board has voted on the issue.
Yes, you can vote on it that night, or you can vote on it another night.
The town board, I think, was all in agreement that based on the issue and the due diligence that is needed on it, we are not going to be voting on that on October 7th. We will be voting on that on October 21st to give an additional 2 weeks for the board to read up on all the documentation that is being supplied by the appropriate parties that need to show that. Speaking of process, I think the next item on the agenda, am I looking over at Rick and Art for this, or is this more looking at you, Paul?
What would it be?
Should be saying, oh,
Well, I'm not sure if I have it right, but I think the 202B means that resolution to adopt the bond resolution is not subject to commercial referendum. Charlie?
Yes,
Yeah, is that correct?
correct.
So, according to our attorneys, we are to adopt this resolution. It's 202B resolution prior to adopting the resolution to approve the bonding.
So, just so I understand, under the section 202B, Charlie, that because subsequent to that resolution, we are talking about a significant amount of money that the board is considering to bond debt to town, that it is subject to permissive referendum,
The bonding is, yes.
which,
You can approve, well, you can approve the project, but obviously bonding is a separate approval.
right,
And I think if you have a supermajority, it is subject to permissive referendum. If you don't have a supermajority, it's subject to mandatory. Supermajority means
4 to 1.
this board, it would be, you would have to have
okay,
in favor.
all right. Do the board members have any questions or comments before we venture into the next two? Art, Rick, representing the leadership of the sewer department here in town, any comments?
No, I think the town board has really done a great job of getting us in for the last time.
Yeah, I've used the Joe DiMaggio hitting streak for all of, I
Absolutely,
believe
it is a
I
big
wasn't
number.
alive for it.
It is a big number, and we've had Department of Junison, and we've been working towards this goal really since 2016.
Yes.
Absolutely. So.
Well, and I mean,
It will be good for the town.
sorry?
It will be good for the town in the long run to get everything repaired and upgraded. Will really create some opportunities for the town.
Well, I think since Thursday, June 24th, almost 3 months ago, every town board meeting and every town board workshop has either focused on this project or had as one of the topic items this project. And I think it necessitated that type of attention by the town board because as we tried to communicate out to the town, and Barry, you've been involved working for the town, being the government of the town for 50 years, correct?
Yes.
Because you were 7 when you came to work for the
Yes.
town. It's the largest dollar amount project ever.
I don't remember one did.
So, okay, well, with that in mind, I'm making a motion to approve the wastewater pollution control facility asset renewal project and water resources recovery facility improvements project under section 202B.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Scully? Aye. Councilman Cato?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Capano?
Aye.
So Charlie, I think if I understand what you just said, since that was a 5-person vote, now it's subject for permissive referendum, as long as it was 4 to 1 or 5 to 2.
Well, no, the bonding is subject to permissive
Sorry.
referendum. You approved the project, the question is now the cost of the project. The cost of the project is a lot more.
Okay, so now, the next motion I'm making is to approve the bonding up to a maximum cost of $30,998,000 for the wastewater pollution control facility asset renewal project and water resources recovery facility improvements project.
Is that your motion?
That is my motion.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Kirkowski. Aye. Councilman Dean,
Aye.
Councilman Allen.
Aye.
I don't blame you, Bill, for your voice cracking, because every time I look at it, I just, So, if I understand correctly, Charlie, that tonight being September 16th, the citizens of the town in a representative republic have voted on their representation to this town board. They entrust us to make fiduciary proper decisions for the community as a whole. However, once again, the foresight of government checks and balances, if a certain percentage of town people rise up in the next 30 days
And submit a
to
petition.
submit a petition, it could force a referendum on this project. So then the whole town citizenship or registered voters would vote.
That's correct.
Okay. It's a good check and balance. Okay. As I said when I was over at Rick and Art's sewer plant, not your sewer plant, but when I was over at your offices today, it's not the beginning of the end on this, it's the end of the beginning, per se. Who said that?
I don't.
Was that Roosevelt?
Churchill.
Sorry, okay. Maybe I should make the analogy to a war, but the sewer project will continue to dominate a lot of board meetings over the next 3 to 6 months. There's a lot still to do. And I can't stress enough, and when I was reading the resolution, I focused and I really hit on the words up to a maximum of 30 million. The next step is it the WIA grant process? And then there are just so many other opportunities for us to go out and get state, federal money to offset the cost of this so that we don't have to indebt the town's citizens for the full 31 million. And we will do everything in our power to maximize those. All right. Now the next one, Mary, would you, Pat is not here, right? I can tell.
He's not behind the post.
He's not behind the post. Would you like to kind of go over this?
Yeah, so Pat and I have been working together, putting together an RFP for a feasibility study and conceptual plan for the new highway facility. So it's kind of step one. I think we're going to do that first and then go back out for RFP to do the actual design services. But this will give us a better idea of what the budget is to get what they need and how to lay it out on the site that they have. So kind of lay the groundwork and then be able to get a better detailed RFP out for the actual design services of the project.
There's only the site visits to cover highway department projects that are built in the last 5 years.
You've done several.
So, okay.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of notes. There's a big binder that Joe Herbst put together, putting notes together on what we did, and then Pat's followed through on doing more research. So.
Good question. I looked down here, Barry, you could probably go on for hours since you know that highway garage, our current one, better than any of us.
I could.
Good.
I'm not going to.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bill? Any comments or questions about what part of the process this is for highway garage?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I have no questions. Step 1A.
It is step 1A. And, I don't know, it's the reality of, I guess, thank you, Bill, is that we have infrastructure in the town that was built back in the 60s, and it's kind of all reaching its aged out point at the same time.
You need to see the sketch of the original design of that highway garage to appreciate what's actually been done. It's hanging on the wall in the office at the highway. And they've done everything since the day it was open to improve it, to maintain it, to enlarge it, to utilize the space available. You know, that's a concrete structure that houses a lot of salt trucks. Salt and concrete don't work real well together, and they've done everything they can do to keep it up, and it's time for new. At least start planning for a new one.
Right. Okay. Well, Patty, you're the liaison to that department. Do you
I'll
want
make a
to-
motion that we solicit written proposals for architectural and engineering services for the construction of a new highway facility in the town of Webster, to be advertised in the Webster Herald on September 22nd, 2021. Do we have to include the date we're going to open those?
It's not a
It'll be on the
formal,
legal notice,
Okay.
that was out, so it's, I think it's October 8th, it's the Friday before Columbus Day weekend.
Dollar just commented it's not a formal bid, so it's not necessary.
It's not a formal, but it's not a secret bids.
Okay. All right, yeah. So that's my motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Cosarelli?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, since Patty, you are the liaison to the highway department. Deputy Supervisor Vitale is also the liaison to the sewer department, and Rick and Art, I think you can attest to this fact. She gets over there and she checks out things. She is great.
I'll be back there tomorrow because they're paving
Boots out.
with boots, yes.
Yeah.
Don't forget your boots.
Yeah. I just love the picture I saw the other day of you just standing over that, what was it, a lateral that they were digging in, whatever?
I can't even guess on how deep they were digging and how much dirt they moved to get into it. It was incredible.
Yeah, that picture should be framed, by the way. It was pretty cool. The next item up, actually, Mary, this is, and we're not even tabling this, this just, they no longer.
Right, yep, the project has changed and they don't need bills, so
Okay.
that's dropping off the agenda.
So Charlie, I mean, that's just that, right? No, we're not tabling, we're not.
No, it's nothing's under the problem to decide.
Okey-dokey. Blaze, is this yours? All right. Well, the next item, and Blaze, if you'd like to take the podium, this is a proposal for a fill permit at 950 Shoemaker Road. And Blaze, you give me your name and address.
Yes, Blaze Midnight, 950 Shoemaker Road, obviously Webster. Yeah, I know some of you guys probably remember my dad, who probably spent a lot of time right here at some of the board meetings. So it's my turn to take up the torch. Anyway, this should be pretty quick because in my mind it's pretty straightforward. I'm looking to fill in a small area. I have a barnyard with a flat area, and then the hill tapers off at one end. I want to expand it a little bit so I have more maneuverability with trailers and vehicles. So I have a 20-foot by 20-foot area that I want to build a retaining wall around. So at the one end, it'll be at grade level. At the other end, it'll be 4 feet deep. It tapers down 20 feet wide, 20 feet out. My nearest neighbor is probably 600 to 700 feet away through a heavily wooded area and on the other side of my barn, so I don't think they can even see it if they wanted to. they had a clear view, which they do not. I'm far away from my property line. I am not obstructing any kind of water or drainage or anything like that. It seems pretty straightforward. I don't see how it's going to be a problem to any neighbor who would even know it was there, even when it was there. So I'm asking to get a permit to have that filled in, and that's about it. It's pretty easy. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. I do have some photos if anyone wants to see them.
I think we have it.
Yes.
And Mary, I know you have a letter in the packet that is endorsing.
Yes.
So, any questions?
No, any questions Mary would be asking them, and Superintendent of Highways would be also addressing it. If there's no questions from them, we can use the question. I do have a question. It says 30 cubic yards?
That's what I kind of did my calculations, yeah.
I didn't know.
30 or, no, I forgot what I came up with. But did I say 30? Is that what's on the?
That's what's on here, yeah.
Well, it's 20 feet wide, 20 feet deep, and it goes from 0 grade to 4 feet deep. So I guess I multiplied 4 by 20 by 20 and divided it in half, figuring it's sort of a half of a cube. And
That's not a lot of fill.
It's not what?
It's not a lot of fill.
No, it's very,
It's
it's
a
relative.
very small.
Yeah.
It's 2 truckloads.
I mean, the town filled in my pool, it probably took more than that, so.
Okay.
Well, then, I make a motion to approve a fill permit for 950 Shoemaker Road.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cattolis?
Aye.
Wait, I gotta ask you one thing. Did you say that your neighbor was 6,700 feet away from you?
No, 6 or 7.
6 or 7, because I was like, that's a very specific number, 6,700 feet. I mean, that's.
600 to 700 is not so specific.
600 to 700, that makes more sense. I
So
mean,
it's like
yeah,
far away.
a couple hundred yards.
Yeah.
All right.
You laugh just like your father.
Hey, Judge, will you regale us?
Just here to answer questions if anything comes up.
All right, well, I think I know a little bit about the JCAP, the Justice Court Assistant Program. If memory serves me, it's up to 35,000.
Yeah, you like to dream those dreams. We like to talk about a chair or two.
You're gonna have to get out there.
So David Corritori, Webster Town Judge 1 and 2, with Judge DeSalvo. This is an annual, we have an opportunity to apply for money from the state, or as I like to say, money back from the state, which we'd like to do. And in order to do that, you need both a town board resolution that you have to send in, a copy of the minutes, and you also need the supervisor's signature. Well, the game plan is to get chairs to replace those that we got for free from the Hall of Justice many years ago with the help of the Highway Department, moving them, and they are coming apart, and it's time to figure out an alternative. And these chairs that are nothing like a recliner are about the same kind of thing that we're looking at. Someday we'd like to use the JCAP for more of a building expansion of the court, but a little bit every day, a little bit every year is kind of what we're doing. Last year we received the intercom so we could, during COVID, call over to the other room to have another 10 people come over, and frankly I forget what else there was something else that we received as well.
Dave, what's the maximum of the grant?
It could be something like 30,000 bucks, but it tends to be for towns that are currently using the bumper of the one fire truck kind of thing, and they want to kind of increase it a bit. Or a secondary salt barn or something.
These are aliens.
I'm telling you how it is.
We got a salt barn.
Yeah, we do.
Hey,
We're not gonna have
hey,
pork there.
we get that.
So, any questions or comments from the board on this? Okay. The only, do you know, like, what is the deadline to apply for?
Yeah, it's like October 1 or something. I mean, it's, Marilyn is my guru of the grants, the JCAP, and
Gotcha,
that's where we're on it, because if you don't get on it, you don't get it.
gotcha. Well, in that case, I make a motion to authorize the submission of the 2021-2022 Justice Court Assistance Program called JCAP application by the Webster Town Board for a request up to the maximum amount available under the grant.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Nicole?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Judge. All right, and the last item of our formal agenda tonight is a resolution to declare the following items for destruction from the police department. Dell laptop, asset tag number 04169. A Canon printer, asset tag number 02770. And a Vigilant plate reader cameras, number 05678. Barry, are you familiar with these? I know these are old. Well,
The only thing that's hard to understand is probably the plate reader. That's the attachment on the cars when you drive by. You can see your plate and identify them, or go through the parking lots. Believe it or not, as they pass you by 60 miles an hour.
Well, that's my motion to declare those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Nicole?
Aye.
All right, well, we'll take our 5 minutes and see if anybody, I gotta cut this off, right, do not disturb, see if anybody calls in. And while we are doing that, we kind of go around at least the town department heads and the town board members for any last comments from Rick and Art from the sewer department?
Yeah, just, we keep talking about 31 million. We have to realize 20 million of that has to be done anyways. That's something that's been talked about for what, 3-4 years now?
Since 2016.
Since 2016, and that price tag doesn't get any cheaper either as we move along. The 11 million that we've collaboratively added to it is innovative technology that will help pay for itself, the 11, and actually help pay for the 18 or 20 million. So if we didn't add that on, the burden would be a little heavier. So kind of just that they're two separate, but they're joint projects.
Mary?
We started the ash tree RFP process, so we did do a walkthrough last week, so it's interesting seeing the different locations in the park districts. So we have a couple interested bidders that went on the site walkthrough, and then perhaps we'll get a few more. But those will be in next Friday, so then we should start seeing those getting addressed in the next few weeks. So.
Paul?
As Tom mentioned earlier, the full 2022 preliminary budget will appear in the Webster today, which will be coming out on October 6th. We follow it up with a public hearing on the 21st of October. The vote on the budget is scheduled for November 4th, if all goes well.
Hopefully they will. John?
Good.
I missed you. Barry?
I'd love to talk for hours about the highway garage.
Yes, you
but I'm
would.
not
I
going
mean,
to.
we have plans for you after December 31st.
Well,
right?
I'm retired as
Yeah.
of December 31st.
Like I said, we have plans for you.
Okay.
Bill?
So is Audrey.
I was going to say, I'll give you my wife's cell phone number.
breath after December 31st for any plans for Barry.
Well, I'm not gonna jump on them January 1st, but I'll let them go through a couple months before, we could use some help on this project, Barry.
Okay.
Bill?
We're good.
Good? Patty? Any other places that the sewer department you're visiting this week?
Just half a thing.
You think that's a big excavation? You should see what a really big excavation is.
No, I realized that, but to replace the lateral, it was surprising on how much they had to go down and dig it in the camera and all that stuff. No, I mean, I've seen the bigger excavations.
That was part of the problem to begin with, correct?
It really was. It was 13 feet deep, over 100 feet long, and
Flowing the wrong way.
flowing the wrong way, old.
Well, the picture, Patty, you look tiny. Next to
I love
that.
that
She's tiny.
I mean, really, it looks like you're looking down over the Grand Canyon, kind of, so.
Well, and it wasn't that.
It looked big. Charlie?
We're busy, but of course, attorney-client privilege for this, much detail, so. Nothing.
Any Latin thing you can say, or? And this is your time of year, darling.
The town clerk's office is very busy collecting sewer taxes.
Is it, you know, I actually had the pleasure to have lunch today with Brian Neiman, the interim school superintendent, very nice man. And I told him, I said, you know, it's gone, knock on wood, kind of without much issues. A lot of people coming into town hall paying their school taxes, and we were just a little concerned after seeing back in the spring some of these national school board meetings that kind of went off the rails, like, you know, but it seems with the kids back in school, people are a little happy.
Has anybody been to your office yet to complain about how high the taxes are, no, like paying your school taxes?
To my office?
Yeah.
To my office?
I don't know. That's a relatively,
Yes.
that's
It's
a
a
normal
yes.
circumstance.
Yes. I mean, hey.
School taxes.
Anyway, well, with that being said, I'm not gonna get myself in trouble here, Barry. That concludes tonight's meeting. This meeting is officially adjourned. And I'm gonna give.
No,